Hello, I'm Ivan Gulenko, a retired programmer who runs a Swiss-based tech recruitment company called coderfit.com. I want to tell in this video why I personally prefer tech recruitment to programming. I worked as a programmer for 3 years in Python and JavaScript. I really enjoyed the fact that I could go to work every day and have a clear set of tasks, a mission to accomplish, a clear set of rules to follow to implement a working web solution. For 3 years, this was exactly the best thing I could do directly after my studies. But at the same time, I was a little bit unhappy because I really wanted to do something on my own where I have the total freedom every day about what I'm going to do. Here in Switzerland, I was for sure not senior enough to start contracting on my own or to do a startup or a SaaS-based solution that I could sell. And I started to explain online a little bit how good Switzerland is, especially to young people, that moving here means you will really have a super high entry-level salary, that the taxes are low, the living standard is high. We comparatively have a lot of startups in Zurich for the size of the city. We do have many events and meetups, conferences, less so during COVID times, but I'm quite sure it will come back. For example, the Angular meetup or some web meetups, we have 50 to 100 people coming, comparably to Berlin, where maybe double the people come, so maybe like 200 people, but Berlin is 10 times bigger, it's 3 million people, whereas Zurich is only 300,000. So anyway, I had a lot of, let's say, material to blog about back then in 2016, and I started to get CVs. And well, I then helped those people to find jobs in companies, and then companies asked me, hey, maybe you want to send us more CVs and kind of help us on a regular basis with recruitment. So this is then what I started doing shortly after. My employer back then was really cool, gave me the opportunity to first try it part-time, so I didn't have to quit my job and start my own thing, but I could do it like 50-50. And this was a super good opportunity and chance to actually try out if this recruitment thing is really for me or not. And shortly after, it was clear, okay, this is something I want to do full-time, and started doing this then around 2017. And since then, I'm helping small, middle-sized businesses and startups in Zurich to find developers and any kind of tech-related profile. And your job as a recruiter is sort of different than to a programmer. But actually the biggest difference comes through the fact that I'm now essentially the business owner. I'm self-employed. I can do whatever you want. There's nobody giving you pressure to do a certain thing or avoid another thing. It's totally up to you what you do if you're self-employed or running a business. So that is what really excites me, that although let's say there is basically a clear task is to basically interact with people and make business happen and really keep things going, like there is a clear pressure. The pressure is actually inwards and not outwards from let's say coming from some other person whom you promise, okay, I'm gonna be here at the office for 8 hours a day and do whatever you tell me. So this kind of thing is perfect for people who really enjoy the actual art of engineering and programming. For them, this additional, let's say, minus that sort of the requirements come from like people around you immediately, that is actually not such a big minus. But for people who say, okay, I really value freedom and I have my own creative ideas and I want to try them out on a whim, it's not the best situation. So being employed for certain people, I think is great, and being employed as a programmer is really the best thing ever. But for me personally, in a typical recruitment day, I start with talking to people via email, via chat, having a couple of phone calls, discussing new requirements for jobs, discussing how a career is going with someone else, reading through many CVs, which is extremely hard and very often not that interesting. But the fact that I do this because I myself decided to start this recruitment firm, it makes actually the mundane task of reading lots and lots of CVs actually less mundane. This was what Nassim Taleb describes in one of his books when he had to read financial statements of companies, which is also not the most exciting task in the world. But because there is a lot of, let's say, skin in the game, and it like huge money invested or huge money to be invested into something, suddenly reading financial statements is actually not that bad because there's really something to lose or something to gain. So mundane tasks become much easier if you are self-employed. Same goes for accounting and other administrative tasks that I necessarily have to do, otherwise I cannot run a business. So the painful points become actually less painful just by the fact that one is self-employed. Additionally, unlike programming, where, well, you also have like surprises coming up all the time, the surprises are more like, okay, this thing is not compiling and there's a JavaScript error that I have to Google on Stack Overflow. Whereas in recruiting, you have lots of mundane tasks, but suddenly a situation is there where you need to help a candidate to negotiate a higher salary, or you need to help a client out with a situation. So there is really a reactive aspect where you need to say the right thing or do the right thing to completely direct the life of another person into one or the other direction. Obviously, let's say you work for a big tech company and you change like a button color, and then like 100 million people see the new change of the button color, and then you also impact so many people's lives. That is also kind of cool, I suppose. But first of all, most IT and programming jobs are not like this. So most of the developers don't work for big tech. And also secondly, you're still replaceable in a way. So basically, if you wouldn't improve this button or make the color different, then some other like programmer would do it. Unless you're, of course, like somebody like Paul Buchheit, who basically at Google invented Gmail. So he was basically like, okay, there should be like a web client where that works in the browser, and everybody said that's absolutely impossible, and then he just built the thing. So this is, of course, an exception. There really you do something like completely innovative and completely change the world, basically. But this happens very rarely. Whereas actually in Recruit, I mean, I'm in a way like a small player. Like I talk to people on one-on-one calls, and I'm not like inventing Gmail, right? But when you talk to people one-on-one, you actually do change the life of this particular person. You can say something or do something where the direction of the life of this single person will be completely different. And this is the cool thing about recruiting. There are few other professions where you can claim that you do exactly that. And this is why I enjoy it actually quite a lot. Although obviously there are many things that are terribly problematic, which could be like a video which is like really day long, I believe. But the upsides that you have most of the time in working with people and trying to truly help them and establish long-term relationships are kind of really cool, and in a way more fulfilling than talking to a machine all the time. But this really is very individual and very specific to your background, to your passions, to your what feels like work to you. What I think this is a quote by either Paul Graham or Naval, that you should do those things that look like work to others, but like play to you. And for some people, it's essential. Many programmers say that about their job. They're like, okay, I love programming so much, like I would do that for free, but please do not tell my boss. Well, for me, it's the same with like talking to people and making things happen to them for their career. It's in a way, and it includes like reading CVs and emails and stuff, which probably many people would be like, I really like kind of super hate this, and they don't wanna like do any job that involves like talking to people all day long. So you have to find the exact job for you or set of tasks where you feel, okay, this is like super fun, but like other people should look at this and say, this is like hard and boring, and why is this person doing it? Because then you have like a monetary opportunity, right? For example, eating ice cream, probably you'll say, wow, eating ice cream, it's awesome. But everybody else will also say, like, yeah, eating ice cream, it's like super awesome, it's like easy. So watch for this particular opportunities that work for you in exact this combination, works like fun to you, but work to others. So that's my short story about why I enjoy recruitment more than programming. I actually do still program like on a regular basis on small tools that I then also use. So I kind of dog feed my tools to myself, which I also very much enjoy. But the majority of the time is spent as a business owner, manager, and, well, people pleaser, I would almost say. So like and subscribe below for more content on how to succeed as a programmer, and see you in the next video.